Yes, we are live now.
All right. Hi, everybody. We want to extend a really warm welcome on behalf of the MOOC team to everybody joining this Zoom meeting, or to those joining on YouTube, or to those who might be watching this on YouTube later. We understand these might be difficult times. Hi, everybody. We want to extend a really warm welcome on behalf of the MOOC team to everybody. We hope that everyone's safe. We hope that you're all well. We also really hope that the MOOC has been an inclusive space for everybody over the past 4 weeks for you guys to learn and grow. It's given our team a lot of pleasure to see such a diverse group of active participants. Currently, our MOOC is at over 77,000 participants from across 180 countries. So we've really been enjoying reading your comments to be able to understand all the nuances of different pronunciation difficulties. And we really admire your efforts to keep developing during these difficult times in the world. So today's session is with our educator and our mentors and with some special guests. It's meant for you to see who's behind the scenes. We're going to answer some of your questions that you left on the platform. And we also have a little surprise for our most insightful participant during the past 4 weeks. So I'm going to pass the floor to our educator, Laura, and ask if she would introduce herself at this time.
So indeed, welcome everyone. My name is Laura Rupp. I'm currently a senior lecturer in English language and linguistics at VU University. I teach a number of courses there, so bachelor and master courses, and I think what these courses, so my teaching and also my research, what they have in common is that they focus in one or the other way on diversity in English. So, for example, I teach a course, Global English, about the reasons for the spread of English around the world and the way that this has affected English, so the language itself, but also the people speaking English now. My research is also on variation in English, but in my research I focus specifically on grammatical features of traditional dialects of English still. So now we have so many varieties of English these days, but it all started in England. So the traditional dialects within England, the grammatical features we find there, and I'm kind of interested in the features that appear to be on their way out, so that have become obsolescent. And what will become of those features? Are they retained, or do they continue in another form or with another meaning? Amongst the courses that I teach at VU, so Vrije Universiteit, is also a course English pronunciation, and this is where it all started. I became familiar, so I heard about the platform Future Learn, and then I thought it's like an interesting platform, but also very much like the way in which courses are organized on that platform. And so I acquired some funding to create this MOOC. So I used all of the material that was in the pronunciation class and tried to find more. And ever since then, I was first joined by Amrita Das, who will introduce herself later. So to have her on the team as a mentor, and then by two wonderful student assistants, so Alyssa herself and Erica, and then this run by what we call external mentor, and also by people who have, all by themselves have commented on inputs from our learners. So I've also acted as mentors in a way, and we very much appreciate this. We're very thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Laura, and for being with us today. And now if maybe Amrita would like to introduce herself.
Yes, thank you, Alyssa. I'm Amrita. I work as a diversity facilitator at the Vrije Universiteit. I'm a teacher trainer with the Learn Academy, and I specialize in a special educational approach called the mixed classroom in practice. I've been working with Laura for a while now at the Vrije Universiteit. Greatly enjoy her courses, and the association with the MOOC has been absolutely wonderful. Can I give it back to you then, Alyssa?
Of course, and maybe now Erica will introduce herself if she would like to.
Hi, I'm Erica Costa, and I am a mentor and a student at the Vrije Universiteit in Amsterdam. And this is actually my first run of the MOOC, so it's a new experience for me, just like so many of you guys.
It's been great to have Erica joining us. And I realized that I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Alyssa Camp. I'll go ahead and do that now. I'm also a student at the Vrije Universiteit. I study the Bachelor of Communication Science with a specialization on English language in communication. And I've had the great opportunity of working with Laura and Amrita over the past few months and to be a part of the MOOC. This is my second run now, and it's been a really great experience to get involved with all of the participants and see everybody's dedication. And I currently also combine this with an honors project, an honors research project that I'm working on that will help develop the MOOC further in the future. So I want to thank Laura and Amrita for this opportunity. And yeah, and then I would like to invite Mateos, our other external mentor, to introduce himself at this time.
Mateos, you're on mute. The perils of Zoom.
No, I forgot I'd muted myself. So yeah, again, my name is Mateusz Pietraszek. I'm Polish, but I live in Spain currently, and I'm both a student and a lecturer, okay, because I'm doing my PhD, but at the same time I work as a lecturer in English and also in English phonetics and phonology here in Madrid. And my research actually focuses on pronunciation, phonetics and phonology from the perspective of English as an international language. So I joined this MOOC on this run as an external mentor because, well, I did it on one of the previous runs, and then, well, I found out about this opportunity, and, well, I decided to apply, and I was accepted. So thank you very much for that. It's been a wonderful journey, and, well, I've been enjoying answering your questions, and, well, there's still some time to go. So, well, feel free to, well, to ask me directly, or, well, wait for my answer on the forum.
Great, thank you so much, Mateos. And we also have another guest joining us, one of our participants, Jose. It'd be great if you could introduce yourself to the other participants at this time.
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Jose. I'm from Brazil. I'm based in São Paulo. I am a teacher of English here in Brazil. I'm a CELTA qualified teacher. I took my CELTA in London 3 years ago. And that was an amazing experience because I could have this cross-cultural experience of teaching and getting insightful teaching approach in England. And then I'm back to Brazil, and I've been teaching general English, business English, and also legal English because it is according to my experience here. And I joined this course because pronunciation is a feature that I think it's quite important for teachers and for students alike. So and thank you very much for inviting me to be a guest here. It's my pleasure.
Great, thank you so much for joining us, Jose. So now that you know who we all are, we're going to proceed to the Q&A section of this session. So we have a few questions that have been collected from the platform over the past week that you've had the opportunity to present to us, and Laura will answer these questions at this time. So I'd like to pass the floor to Amrita to introduce the first set of questions.
Thank you, Alyssa. Firstly, if I keep looking down, please don't mind me, but because we are also live right now on YouTube, and there are questions streaming in, and we have a lot of viewers right now, so I'm keeping an eye on that. But to place the first question, Laura, firstly, we've had such warm responses from all the participants. It's been overwhelming, the kind of atmosphere that has been created in the MOOC during this run, and it's really been special. The first question is from Alan Grangine, and he asks, I find your course very useful. It helps me to identify the different aspects of my accent I have to work on to achieve intelligibility and credibility. Vowel sounds are difficult for me. I'm already making progress, but I know I will have to keep on practicing on a regular basis to really improve my accent. Could you give me some tips on how to do that on my own when the course ends?
Yes.
Laura, do you have tips?
Well, I think it's wonderful to hear that it's already made some progress during those 4 weeks that the MOOC has been running now. It's not a very long time, for 4 weeks. And so, and also that that there is awareness that it's necessary to continue practicing. to be honest, so I'm not a native speaker of English myself either, and I'm keep developing my own pronunciation still. I have been doing that. It doesn't necessarily have to be towards a kind of a native English accent or towards a standard English accent, but sometimes I hear words being pronounced in a particular way, or I hear an accent that I really like, and I think, oh, I would like to adopt that particular feature. So I think I just wanted to first say that I think it's perfectly normal to keep working or developing your English accent, and that this will take a while. And that you can really keep doing this throughout your lifetime. But practically, so once the MOOC has ended, so all of the material, so I created some of the material myself, but I also took wherever I could, because I would like, this was also the philosophy behind the MOOC, so to use as much material that was available already, to also include that in the MOOC. And all of the material that is currently in the MOOC is Creative Commons, so can freely be used. If you as a learner do not have the means to buy an upgrade, so then you could download some of the material and keep practicing that way. Of course, yeah, there's a lot of material available on the internet. I think that I've made the selection of the best material that I could find from the internet, but I would be very interested to hear from maybe our external or unofficial mentors if they know of any material that could be useful in addition. Yeah, and also I think so what I pointed out in relation to myself, so to always be very aware of the English that is around you, and to listen to it, and to identify, or to yeah, also appreciate or to realize the existence of particular features, or the particular pronunciation of particular features. And again, whether it's either standard or non-standard.
Indeed. Thank you, Laura. There is a similar question also during the live session about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's about from Thu Lone. How could I practice speaking intonation for sentences and paragraphs? Would you recommend some tips? I would say just practicing out loud would be one tip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so practicing, yeah, so using some of the material that is currently in the MOOC and to listen to it. But maybe the question is about additional material.
Yes, I think so. I think the other fact is also related to the length of time that you need to practice something. So it might seem that we've practiced it once, but I think repetitive practice over a period of time also helps.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah.
What I love on the MOOC also is the ability to record oneself and listen to oneself, because it's terrifying, but at the same time, it's quite useful to then reflect on what those word sounds are like.
Yeah, but I will make a note of it, of this question. So if the question is about additional material, so material next to the material that is available in the MOOC, I could make a list of it, like literature that I know, for instance, and I would like to invite everybody to join our Facebook page, and there I could then upload the list and to make it available to the person who asked the question, but to other learners also.
Thank you for that, Laura. So I will put that in the chat later on for our user on chat. The next question is from Tu Luan, who writes in from Vietnam. So I can't wait to see this live interaction. Well, we are here with you right now. And I'd like to ask some questions as below. I still find it hard to pronounce the different S at the ending of different words. Can you summarize the different pronunciations and how to stress the words precisely? Is there a general formula for all words? This is such an interesting question. I think I have a personal interest in this question because one of the accents from where I come from, they don't, there's no differentiation between sh and sir. So everything that's sh is also sir. There is no sh. So I was wondering, Laura, if you could also share how to pronounce S at the ending of different words.
Yeah, I assume, I'm not 100% sure, but I assume that the question is about not so different realizations of that fricative, but so not the phonemes, but a variation depending on the particular word in which S occurs. I think so. The question refers to cases where S is used as a morpheme. So it can either be plural S, as in cats, for example, or it can be still be the present tense agreement suffix, as in nose, for instance. And so there's variation between the voiced and the voiceless variant, so between Z and Z. For this morpheme, can either so be the plural morpheme or the present tense third person singular, and it depends on the preceding consonant. So if the preceding consonant is, it's actually a very intricate question. So I'm really kind of amazed that this question was asked, because it's a very intricate thing. So this fricative is pronounced as voiceless when the preceding consonant is voiceless, as in works, for example. And it's pronounced as the voiced variant Z when it follows a voiced consonant, as in bags, for example. So that's the variation in realization. So either as a voiceless or a voiced variant of that fricative, it depends on the preceding consonant. When S functions as a plural morpheme or present tense, third person singular. But like I said, it's really like a fine distinction. It's really kind of an advanced question, and I really admire this question being asked by someone whose native language presumably is Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And because I know from what I've heard, Vietnamese is, I think, kind of so opposite from English where pronunciation is concerned. So I would actually like to get in touch with this learner to and ask several questions about Vietnamese, which we could then also include in the MOOC.
Indeed, we will reach out to them, Laura, so that we can establish contact and discuss this further. The next question is an interesting one, but one that I find it appearing repetitively over the MOOC over different runs. And maybe we have addressed it before, but it's worth considering again. Sarath Krishnan writes, I'm an English teacher and therefore I'm required to have a standard accent. How could I acquire a standard accent?
Yeah, I guess in principle, in a similar way as one would acquire any other kind of English accent.
Indeed. And what would be the criteria of the standard accent, Laura?
Yeah, so in the MOOC, so we've taken as reference accents a British English. I mean, currently there are various standard English accents in the world. So Australia has their own standard English accent. And other regions are developing their own standard English accents too. But the most familiar ones are standard English and standard American English. And so they function as reference accents within the MOOC, and the features of these accents are being explained.
Right.
Yeah.
Sarath, I hope that helps you out. My final question that I selected was from Bilkis Blanco. It's also a teacher question. It says, how can we teachers help our students build up confidence when they are so focused on what they don't understand and at the same time are self-aware about their pronunciation? And I think this comes from a lot of people feeling very small or vulnerable because they don't sound like what the normative references of an English speaking person should sound like. How do we build that confidence, Laura? How do we show up and keep speaking?
Yeah, I think that's because so they're presumably then the target or the accent that they think they should aim for is a standard English accent or a standard American English accent. And the first thing about to say about that, I think, is that if you're a non-native speaker, it's incredibly difficult to acquire. I think Matthias did a good job, a really good job. Yes, but I think so generally it's very, very difficult. And so what I do, of course, I've experienced this myself with my own students in pronunciation course at Vrije Universiteit, that they come to pronunciation class and they're kind of worried, or they, in the first instance, they don't like it at all, because I'm there to change their accent or to tell them what is not correct or what is incorrect and what is wrong regarding the accent. Whereas I think not only regarding English, but the accents you have, it's such a personal thing. It's like being kind of like rejected yourself if you're being told that your accent is not all right. And so, yes, so they're very self-aware about the pronunciation. So I try to make them feel confident by pointing out, as I've also aimed to do in the MOOC, that that there are various targets that one may have. And that certainly for many occasions, I think to have an intelligible accent, is perfectly fine as it is. Yeah. And that is actually nice. And of course, there are cases where it's useful, right, to be able to speak with a standard English accent or a standard American accent. And that is because there's simply a lot of prejudice and stereotyping going on regarding non-standard accents. So I also do think that teachers need to kind of protect their students and tell them that this may happen. And so to also tell them about features of these standard accents, but to also then point out that on the other hand, if that's not necessary for them, if they will not be in a situation in which they need such an accent, then maybe I would say it's perfectly good and fine to develop an intelligible accent in the first instance. And that is actually very nice to have personal features in your accent, because that is what makes you that particular individual. And so, this is what I do. So to try and build confidence in that way, and to actually say, hey, so this is a very French feature in your accent. I really like it, and I think it suits you. And so to make them aware of the features in their accent that are perfectly fine and that are interesting. I was going to say something else, which I forgot.
Maybe the fact that all four of us in the Vrije Universiteit speak quite differently in English. If I were to compare Erica's or Alyssa's or yours or my accent, we speak English quite differently. I think each one of us, when I put the sound of the words to the face, it matches perfectly, right? Like it says so much about the person. And I can't imagine it to be this, homogeneous sounding, which would be horribly boring at the end of the day.
Yeah, and now, so thank you for adding this, because now I remembered what I wanted to say. Yeah, so to also show them that I kind of, and sometimes in English pronunciation class, English pronunciation is something that is imposed on the students, and to also then to make them realize that they are in a way agents of the kind of English that they wish to speak or that they can develop. And if they feel that they're more in control of their own accent, then actually having or doing English pronunciation, it can become fun. But I think it will change. It was long also in the Netherlands that in English classes, everyone British English accent or everyone American English accent, depending on where you were, and that was the standard. And this is what but now it's changing with so many people speaking English around the world. That's definitely changing, and I'm sure it will change in the end, but it will take some time.
Indeed.
And I think now within the university, at least in Vrije University, so we've got like a much more liberal attitude towards English accent. But I know that when students go elsewhere or maybe apply for a job, then they may still find that what is expected is like a kind of a standard English accent, and this is why I think it is important as a teacher these days to also discuss features of those accents. Yeah, so this relates back to the previous question that was being asked. I need to acquire standard accent. So you may find, that it's still being, expected in a way. But I'm sure, I don't think I will live to see it. I wish I would, but I'm too old. But I wish that I would. I'm sure that in so many years' time that it's much more normal to have like what we would now call a non-standard English accent.
Indeed. Well, I hope that day comes sooner than later. Thank you so much for the share, Laura. We have quite a buzzing chat box, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. And I'll hand the floor back to Alyssa.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Laura. We'll just continue straight on into the next set of questions. I also selected a few from the MOOC platform. And the first is from John Cleek. He asks, many issues in pronunciation and the underlying reasons have been presented, and many useful exercises have been undertaken for reviewing and practicing these, so in the MOOC, and also creating more awareness of how the learner's mother tongue can impact on this. But I wonder, with so much information, what is the most essential for intelligibility and credibility to focus on? Is there a hierarchy to the issues that would help us focus?
I perfectly agree. I think I also mentioned or referred to this in the beginning that it's a lot of information that is in the MOOC for 4 weeks. So I could perfectly understand if people were a little overwhelmed by all of the information that is being presented. As for a hierarchy, I would say to in the first instance focus on features that have been identified as being important or playing a role in intelligibility. So the material that we used in the MOOC is, so this is what we know from current research, features that play a role in intelligibility. And then, features that have been shown to bear on credibility. It depends a little on the situation you're in. So what you need to use English for. If you're amongst friends, I think that is perhaps less important than if you're in some like an official kind of formal kind of situation. But at any rate, I think intelligibility first, and then any features that have been shown, at least in the research that we know of right now, to bear on credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, as you were just saying before, to focus on what your specific needs are for English as well, and what your goals are, and what setting you want to use your English.
Yes, and also very much depending on the native language that you speak.
Yeah. All right, thank you for that. The next question is from Tatiana Oborleda. She asks, after learning about rhoticity and comparing both types of pronunciation, I ended up with the same question I've been having all this time. Is it okay to pronounce words in both American and British accent? From my Spanish background, I tend to reason my pronunciation and I pronounce what makes more sense for me. Might this be affecting my intelligibility? Thank you very much for this amazing course. Wow. So I selected this question because this topic of rhoticity, of which accent is better, so standard British or standard Americans, comes up a lot, and it has come up in previous runs of the MOOC as well. So I think still a very relevant question for you to address.
Well, I think the one accent isn't more intelligible than the other. At least I don't know of any research that has shown that that the one is more intelligible than the other. Yeah, intelligibility. It also depends, I guess, on the native language that you speak. I know, for instance, from many Dutch students that I've had, that they find rhotic accents more intelligible because they have rhotic accents themselves. And also they keep telling me because in American English, or American English accents tend to pronounce more what's being written. Yeah, so I would say, I don't know, I haven't seen any research that shows that the one is more intelligible than the other. Just comparing the two, but it may depend on your on the native language that you speak.
And as to mixing the two,
yeah, I've always heard, so the students at the Vrije Universiteit always ask me this question, oh, I mixed this, and oh, I shouldn't, and is this a really bad thing to do? And again, yeah, the same answer. So I haven't seen, I don't know of any research that has shown that you're less intelligible if you mix. So English elements with American English elements. And I think, so these days, so we don't maybe only mix English with American English, but we also mix it with pronunciation features from our own native language or from other languages that we know. Yeah, it may be that, I don't know if you're working for, I've not been in that situation myself, but if you're working for an American firm, for instance, that it might be more appropriate or more expected of you to speak with an American English accent. So again, yeah, I think it may depend on the particular situation, but I don't think that as such, the one is more intelligible than the other.
All right. Okay, thank you for that. I hope that helps you, Tatiana. And at this time, I have one more question, but he's actually here to ask it himself. So Jose asked a great question. He is, as he mentioned at the beginning, a teacher of English himself in Sao Paulo in Brazil. And he asked a great question on the platform. And so I'd like to invite him to ask Laura at this time.
Well, Laura, well, thank you for this opportunity of asking the question myself. Yeah. So it's really nice. Okay, so you've talked a little bit about it already in one of the answers, about the approach that teachers should take regards pronunciation. So my question is, can you share some tips on how we teachers could approach? And my question would be like twofold. I mean, in terms of behavior and in the way that teacher can handle it into the lesson itself. I mean, how the teacher can make it like pleasant and enjoyable to the student, because sometimes it isn't, because these students sometimes come, you know, with expectations, or, you know, sometimes they fear because they are going to be corrected, they are going to be, you know, they're exposing themselves. And on the other hand, I would love also to know how teachers, what's the best way, in your opinion, to consider it in the syllabus of the course, you know, how we put it into individual lessons, more centered in a lesson, or, you know, along the course together with other contents. So a bit hard, I guess.
Yeah, so you mean to have lessons that, or courses that only focus on pronunciation?
Yes.
Or to mix it with other English skills? That's a very good question, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't thought about it. I would need to give that some thought. Okay. We have separate, so we have separate pronunciation courses, although we. At Vrije Universiteit, some students take it separately, but some mix it with presentation. Okay. So presentation skills, and they can then at the same time when presenting, also work on their pronunciation. Yeah. I think actually, so what I like about that is that it gives students the opportunity to practice pronunciation on various occasions. Yeah, so to not only do exercises or to not only do drills, but to also practice it in like in the situation of a presentation. Because what I frequently find is that so then we've worked on particular pronunciation features, and when focusing on those features, all is well. But then when doing a presentation, then presenting a presentation, then yeah, they tend to all forget about their pronunciation. And then so it's actually good to see that that if you're not focusing in the first instance and then continue to practice, that that it will not work. And so what I then usually recommend is the next time they will have to do a presentation is to write out part of their presentation, and then to, for at least, you know, a few minutes to focus on their presentation while pronunciation whilst doing the presentation. So actually, having thought about it a little more, I think it's useful to combine it with other activities and maybe other courses, because then it gives the students the opportunity to practice the pronunciation in various situations, and then also to come back to it or to continue practicing or thinking about it, so that it's not being restricted to just one course. And at VU, so we have this particular combination, but actually now speaking about it a little more, it would be good if then, let's say, so this is in the, I think it's the second year, then in the third year, there was another such opportunity. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it all starts with kind of awareness or understanding of pronunciation features, and then so that's the first step. And then to actually practice some of these features, and then usually the course ends already because there's only so much time.
Yeah.
So it would actually be good to be able to pay attention to it in the longer term. And so does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I think that, I mean, the main features of pronunciation, like vowels and consonant clusters, these features could be inserted in the course, along the course, giving the student, fostering the awareness on these features. And then in a moment, which could be ideally at the end, then we could insert like presentation skills in which students are able to assess, and they are able to see these features like stress, intonation, and other things into play. This should be more meaningful and giving more meaning to what they've seen throughout the course. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. It answers, yeah.
And so the other question was how to start a pronunciation course, because student might feel a little inhibited or not looking forward to it.
Yes, how to approach it in the lesson. I mean, separately or along the subject that you are like looking at, or at Vrije Universiteit, I do it. So we have a course focusing on pronunciation, but I think I can say that it's always quite fun, the pronunciation course, and I think it is. So I talked about this a little in the beginning. So pronunciation is frequently being something that's imposed or that needs to meet particular standards, and which may be very different from the kind of English that students normally speak. And so I think already, so to introduce the approach, or to make the distinction between intelligibility and credibility and personal features of your accent, and also talk about why it may sometimes be necessary to know features of standard accents, because of the prejudice and the stereotyping that is going around, but that is not necessarily necessary to speak those accents all the time, or in all kinds of different situations. And what I always try to do with my students, so I try to differentiate. So it's not like all of them should learn this one particular accent, but I make a plan, like, okay, so what kind of accent are you aiming for? What would you like to yourself? And then what do you need to use English for? Which may also vary a lot. And what is your native language? And then we have a kind of plan that we're working towards. And so we agree on that plan. So features that are known to affect intelligibility are part of the plan. But if they then wish to keep particular personal pronunciation features, that is also part of the plan. And sometimes
I also quite like it because at first students frequently say, no, I've got this accent, I like it, I want to keep it, and I don't want to change it at all. And then I say, okay, well, and then I listen a little to their accents and I say, well, actually, I think, you know, a non-rhotic accent would suit you. You know, I think it would be nice. And then other students listen, yeah, I think it would be nice if you actually tried a non-rhotic accent. So we then practice that, and then they can decide on that, whether they going to adopt it, yes or no. So it's like differentiation if you can, because if you've got many students, then that's really a problem. The time we have, and I think that's a problem for for teachers more generally, because if I have many students, then it becomes really difficult to differentiate. But this is what I try to do, and then like I said, then to have personal goals, and then to be working towards those goals, which may vary between different students. And then I think usually not everyone will enjoy it, but I think usually most of them do, and we can have, you know, we can have fun and we can laugh, and also so the understanding of features of accent. So why do you do this, or why do you have these features, and where do they come from? And so we actually had I had some students from Brazil speaking Brazilian Portuguese, and they tended to pronounce, I remember very clearly, so to pronounce the vowel in past tense endings, like to say ask it instead of asked. And so we talked about this feature, and they wanted to get rid of it, but it was so difficult, and we had so much fun about it. And they started speaking again, and then they would say it again, and the other students would, you know, point that out. So it becomes kind of something that you do together, and that, as I said, you have kind of agency over. And so to guide students rather than to to impose particular accents on them.
Well, on a personal note, I love the identity aspect. You know, I think that it's one of the things that draws my attention in the course is the fact that, you know, you can keep the accent that you decide to go on and keep yourself being yourself, you know, because the target is intelligibility. So as far as you can, you know, make yourself understood and others can understand you, that's the aim. And that's what I try to do with my students, you know, just giving and having fun. This is the thing in a lesson, especially with pronunciation, is having fun. I think that we gotta be creative and find ways to make it enjoyable in the lesson, you know. But it's a challenge. It is, especially when we have many students in the group. And yes, it is.
Of course. And that's really hard, because you would like to give all of them, you know, a lot of attention, and and help them more than you can.
Exactly.
But sometimes what I then do is that I try to identify groups. So all of these students, they have this kind of native language, or all of these students are aiming for that kind of accent, and then let them work in groups so that they can comment on one another's accent or can help one another. And that's one of the things I do when I have so many students in a group that I cannot give them individual attention. And I think that also if you make awareness of accents, so discuss awareness of accent, if you make that part of your course, then I think students, they're very clever, so they pick up on this very quickly, and then they can actually then help one another or point out features in one another's accents. And so they can they can do a lot together themselves as well.
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much, Laura. That kind of concludes our Q&A session. And thank you to all of the participants who sent in really thoughtful questions, and to Jose for being with us today. I briefly also wanted to ask Mateus, one of our external mentors, just to share his experience on the MOOC, and if he had any general tips for the participants, what his experience has been like generally over the past few weeks. We've really appreciated having him join our team. So.
Well, thank you very much. I also appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Well, I could be speaking for like half an hour now because I've been taking notes as Laura was speaking. But yeah, first of all, congratulations to everybody, because I think that, you know, especially the participants and their insights in the comments have been great. And it's really also a very nice and pleasurable task to answer questions, you know, from people who are like deeply interested in what, you know, what's being dealt with. And well, also on a positive note, I like to say that's like maybe a tip that you shouldn't be very hard on yourselves. Like if you imagine, well, what we've been talking about, you know, you should, it's very hard to achieve, you know, to attain a native accent, you know, past a certain age. So that probably shouldn't be your that might be like an ideal, but that shouldn't be your real goal. Okay, so I think that we should be realistic about that. And if you think of it, you know, small children start learning the way that their mother tongue sounds even before they start speaking. Okay, so it starts at a very young age. They start learning the rhythm of the language because there were questions about, you know, intonation. So obviously you can improve on that, and you can do drills and you can repeat, and well, all those exercises are very useful. Okay, but just without you know, without forgetting that at the end of the day, you may never sound like a native speaker, and that is okay. And then, you know, here comes the identity issue, like which is what, you know, Laura was talking about, and Jose as well. Like, do you, because I had this question in my mind. So obviously you want to sound, some people want to sound as native as possible, but if you were born in Paris and you've lived in Paris for 20 years, okay, and now you're 20, do you really want to sound like a Londoner? Okay, do you really want to go to London and give that impression that you're born here? Okay, so how much of that identity are you actually ready to take on? There's also, well, just a reflection, but it is good sometimes, you know, to preserve just a little bit, even if you aim at a very, very standard native accent, to preserve a bit of your own, you know, linguistic and, you know, phonological identity. Or it's just my reflection. I also think that it's, you know, very comforting for people to look at pronunciation from this approach, because this approach that has always been kind of used and imposed on the students, that they have to, you know, achieve or attain a native standard in their pronunciation, well, has proved to be unreasonable. And actually, well, empirically, it's been proved that it's not possible to attain. So there are so many things that I could comment on, but basically my message is one of encouragement. Okay, so I encourage you to keep on working, because this MOOC, I think, is a great starting point. And there are so many resources, as Laura said, and there are, you know, loads of resources online. Like there are great resources, even if you want to, you know, develop awareness of what's happening in your mouth, exactly with your tongue, and all you know, all the articulation processes. There are great websites. So we could also, you know, I think that we could share those on, you know, on our Facebook page. There is one great website from the University of Iowa, I think, that has, you know, like cross sections and everything, videos of, you know, the pronunciation of all the different phonemes in English, Spanish, and German. I think it's got the 3 languages. So that's great. It's fairly simple. So I think it's very good to not only, you know, develop, you know, like hearing awareness, I mean, phonological awareness, but also the awareness of what's happening in your mouth when you're actually producing sound. So, well, I think that obviously nobody has to become a specialist on articulation and phonetics, but I could see, at least in the comments, that many people were asking for that kind of information, and they were actually very curious about those issues. So that's something that, well, is a lot of fun, actually, because it's like a game. Actually, you're doing something with your body. Okay, you're moving your tongue. You're looking at, you know, wherever it's placed in your mouth, whether it's the alveolar ridge or whatever. So it can be a lot of fun, I think. At least, well, that's my experience from my my phonetics courses. And well, I think I'm going to stop here. I've got more notes, but I'm going to stop here. One maybe a last remark, because this is my personal experience, you know, as a learner, because I told you I'm a student. I also learn other languages, and well, pronunciation is very important to me at a personal level. And what I think is that, well, given that there were many questions about the type of accent that you should choose, I think that it's all very personal. And that if you want to aim at a native model, then you should choose that model. You should choose, you know, a group of speakers, or maybe one speaker that you want to sound like because you just like them. Okay, you like listening to them. Okay, you can watch, you know, interviews with that person on YouTube, see how they speak naturally, and that should be, your target, or that could be your target. I don't like to impose anything, but that's, I think, modeling your speech around, even a single speaker as a role model for your speech production, for me, well, is a very good idea. So that's just like a personal tip. Okay. But obviously remembering that you do not have to sound like that person. Okay. It's just a model. Okay. And a model is something that, well, you're just moving around, so to say, and aiming towards. So thank you very much again for having me, and well, congratulations again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mateus, for your contribution. And I think some really great tips and some recurring themes coming up here as well, that are great takeaways, and something that we really like to focus on in the MOOC is this aspect of identity and choosing the English that suits you and preserving part of your identity through your accent, which is really imperative to the running of the MOOC, and something that we all try to focus on. So thank you so much, everybody who's been sending in questions, and to the external mentors who've been a part of the MOOC over the past few weeks. We do have one more announcement before we round everything up. For each run of the MOOC, we usually keep an eye on the comments and see, of course, everybody is doing a great job of interacting with each other and encouraging each other in the comments. But we like to keep an eye on what's being said and focus on the people who are helping other people out, or taking the time to leave really thoughtful and insightful comments themselves. And usually, as you know, the MOOC does contain an upgrade, so you can purchase to have access to more resources, or to have unlimited access to the MOOC. And usually we like to reward the most insightful commenter with a free upgrade to the MOOC. So at this time, I would like to announce who for this run of the MOOC is the winner. And it's very fitting, and one of the reasons that I was so happy that Jose could be here with us today, because Jose, you are actually the winner of the free upgrade for this run. Yeah, congratulations. We were so impressed by the insightful and helpful comments you left throughout the duration of the course. You were able to pinpoint problems that not only yourself, but other speakers of Portuguese may struggle with. So there were some common themes coming up that it was just really great to see people interacting with you in your comments. So congratulations on behalf of the MOOC team, and we really appreciate you being here with us today as well. Yeah, thank you so much for your valuable contributions to the course. I think Laura would like to say a word as well.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. So Jose, congratulations. And we also wanted to say, Alyssa and I and Amrita and Erica, so that there have been many insightful comments. So we, yeah, of course, there were many of you who contributed, and what we appreciated, especially in your comments, Jose, was that you were helping other learners. So I already said before we had this started a live session, when we met together, I said, I told Mateus, so our official external mentor, that usually I get a list with questions from Alyssa and from Erica each week, and to answer. And this time the lists were very short, so I would want to scroll down, but there was nothing left. So there were 2 questions, because they were all asked in a very adequate and nice and appropriate way by Mateus and by our other official external mentor, Jennifer, whom we should also mention. And Jose, I just wanted to say thank you so much, because we didn't invite you, we didn't ask you. You've helped a lot of other learners, and also wanted to point out, which is true of you, but also other people who commented spontaneously, that we also learn, we as a MOOC team, a lot from you, because we speak, well, I have one native language, Dutch, and I speak maybe a few other languages, relatively well, but there's so many languages, other languages that I don't know or have very little knowledge of. And it's so incredibly helpful to have mentors who speak other native languages, because they can then really provide tailor-made comments for those learners. And this, I also want to add to this, so this is very much the aim of the MOOC, to have as many official and unofficial mentors within the team, who can then provide comments from their own expertise or from their own experience, their own background. And I would also like, maybe separate from the MOOC, so to have a network of teachers teaching pronunciation, because I think we can all learn from one another. And if I would ever have again someone in my own course, or in the MOOC, or in my own course from Brazil, then I know that I could get in touch with Jose and ask him. Or if I had someone from Poland, maybe I could ask Mateusz, what do? I can't hear the feature myself. I don't know how to help this person. So I think that we, all really need, it sounds a little bit cheesy, but need one another. And it's so very special or helpful that there are people willing, or participants willing to help other participants. So that's the reason, or the main reason why we thought we would, in this case, then award you with that upgrade to the MOOC. So this is what I wanted to say generally about a network of teachers, and to express our appreciation for all of you who have helped other learners within the MOOC, and that I hope that we can remain in touch, and when teaching, because now we have so many international students in our classes, then that we're able to reach out. Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody.
I'm sorry, but I have no words. I'm speechless. So I just want to thank you very much for this opportunity, and for the opportunity of helping others, which is amazing. And Laura, I'm totally available if you need anything. Please count on me in the MOOC, out of the MOOC. I mean, it's amazing to have this network of people that like to help and, just strengthen our knowledge and the ways that we look forward for this relationship. So it's really amazing. And thank you very much. I'm really happy to get this upgrade. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us as well. We're nearly finished our session for today. I'm going to just pass the floor to Amrita to round everything up.
Yeah, thank you, Alyssa. I know Mateusz needs to go for his next appointment. So Mateusz, if you want to carry forth, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you need to go while we're still chatting and talking,
I'm okay.
We understand.
I've still got a couple of minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for being part of this. Laura, can I give you the floor to give our closing note, and then I will.
Yes, of course. I hope that everyone will keep safe and healthy. I'm very impressed that in these difficult times that people have found the energy and the spirit to take up a course. And I know that it's, or at least I think that's what I've been experiencing myself, and what I've heard from others, that the longer the pandemic continues, the harder it gets. Hang in there. And I also wanted to point out again that we have this Facebook page, and that we would like to invite everyone to join that Facebook page, so that we can really continue whatever was left from the MOOC. Any questions that people may have, or any thoughts that they would like to share. I would welcome very much any materials that people might have that they think are useful for learning or teaching English pronunciation that have not been included. And we will try to provide a list, because I understand that there have been questions regarding more available materials. So we will post a list on that Facebook page. And also one other thing I wanted to say in relation to what I said with respect to this mentor network, or more generally this network of pronunciation teachers, we would very much welcome anyone speaking with a range, or everybody, including a range of different native languages, to also become a mentor on the MOOC, because as I've been saying, we've been benefiting a lot from that. and so to become part of that network.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, Laura. So in order to be a mentor of the network, please fill out the form that's right now on the current run. You can also reach out to our email address, moocenglishpro@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Laura, for making this happen for all of us. Thank you to all our participants today on the Zoom meeting, online on YouTube. For those who have missed the live session, and if you get asked this question, please do direct them, because this live session will now be a recording on YouTube itself, so we can have the opportunity to watch it over and over again. On behalf of Food to Learn and our team